The situation with Bitcoin still doesn't look good at all. We did have 13 coins in the top 100 that were positive, but the rest were mercilessly in the red. Partially 50-60% in the red, and all of this within 90 days. So this altcoin performance over the last 90 days doesn't look good at all. Very few Bitcoins were able to outperform Bitcoin here at all. The altcoin season index indicator has also been at its lowest in recent months. Never so low as it is currently, we are very far from an altcoin season. The question now is, how severe will the situation become? Still, if the altcoins continue to bleed out, one might wonder, is that even possible? How much more money is supposed to flow out? We will now take a look at all these topics and charts. First, one must understand that we are still in a Bitcoin season. Bitcoin dominance is steadily building up piece by piece. I mean, we are now back at 62.4%, which is really enormous. At some point, it just becomes enough. It only becomes interesting when we leave this upward trend, because right now, it's really no fun. Bitcoin is indeed grabbing the money, but money, in general, we don't see it in the market. And accordingly, Bitcoin suffers all the more. What gives me hope regarding Bitcoin dominance is that we are currently as oversold on the RSI as never before. In the past, this suggests that we are more likely to see a drop here. Additionally, we are getting closer to a bearish cross on the MACD. It hasn't happened yet, but you can see for yourselves the lines are extremely close to each other. If we see a bearish cross here, it would also initiate the altcoin season again. At least that's how it was in 2021 and 2017 during the bull run. This means, based on this data, it actually looks more like we will first see a drop in Bitcoin dominance. This definitely makes me optimistic because you know very well that Bitcoin dominance completely dictates the performance of altcoins. We are in a short-term downtrend, but not in the long term. And we also see here between $71,000 and $77,000 per Bitcoin a long-term support zone that, in my opinion, we will not break through. Even if we now have increasingly longer stagnation phases, there are certain resistance zones that simply hold. Here we also see how this line consistently holds exactly all the time. We have tested it often, but never broken through, and this time we haven't broken through it again. That is a good sign that we were rejected there, and this correction in Bitcoin was around 30%. The mere fact that we corrected by 30% here and encountered resistance exactly here suggests to me that this might have been it for Bitcoin for now. We had a 30% correction in every bull run. That is completely part of the market. That's why I find it even better that we encountered resistance here, that this zone holds, and that we have now slowly risen a bit again and are stagnating here again. But fundamentally, we always have longer stagnation phases with Bitcoin, and especially in the altcoin sector. Because the big players and the market makers are prolonging the game more and more, I mean, we currently have 2 to 3 times as much leverage in the market as we did in the 2021 bull run. That's so much money. The market masters won't let that slip by, and you can notice it day by day. That's why we now simply have increasingly longer stagnation phases, which have simply become part of the bull run. And due to these stagnation phases, it hits all the harder. The Bitcoin, because especially during these stagnation phases, money is just barely left over for Bitcoin, but not for the Bitcoin. Additionally, we are currently not so risk averse because of the tariffs due to the US situation, and because we are not getting fresh money from the US into the markets at the moment. However, this is expected to change in the coming months. And take a look at this. Here we see a striking correlation between Bitcoin and US business costs. Because here we are now slowly seeing a breakout. And in the past, this has precisely set the stage for the bull run. Because so much depends on the US economy, and if the overall costs for companies are too high, the economy naturally suffers as a result. But slowly this is improving. And accordingly, this could now slowly be a good sign for Bitcoin as well. In the past, as I said, this was often the starting point of a bull run. Just to note briefly, when we zoom out, the altcoins are still in an uptrend. However, we are currently, of course, quite low. It is a good sign that we have encountered resistance here and that the altcoins are holding so steadily. As mentioned, at the latest at these $73,000 per altcoin, there would be another overarching resistance zone. At the latest there, we should see the trend reversal. Personally, I think we have already found the bottom here for now and won't go any deeper. The weaker the bears are. The bears are currently having trouble pushing the price further down, and they aren't really succeeding. And that is already a positive sign that we might slowly break out in the other direction. Additionally, I simply see this correlation between the global M2 money supply and the altcoins. The correlation is usually between 70 to 108 days and is approximately 80% accurate. This means that either we will slowly start the trend reversal at the beginning of April and see rising prices again, or at least by the end of April if we purely consider the mathematical probability here. And then we'll briefly look at the total 3 chart, as it is significantly more important for the altcoins. This chart primarily represents the altcoins. That's why we need to discuss it again. And back then I showed you exactly 10. On March 10th, I showed in our VIP trading group how deep we could fall here. Here you see below $742 billion, but not significantly deeper. If we go here, our lowest low was at $711 billion. From here, we also initiated the trend reversal. This chart primarily represents the altcoins. Here we had a long-term resistance zone, and it held. There we also encountered resistance, which was extremely important. And accordingly, I think we've seen the worst for the altcoins. Temporarily, I don't believe we will fall deeper here again, because just from this point down here, up to the point where we currently stand, most altcoins have already made a profit of 20 to 30% again. And if you don't want to miss my signals and trading setups in the future, you should definitely check out the trading group. Everything about it is in the description and is 100% free. As I said, in my opinion, we've seen the worst with the altcoins. We have a long-term resistance zone here that has held, which is very important. That's why it looks good so far. And then we'll take a quick look at the USDT stablecoin. Dominance. Because stablecoins are increasingly gaining dominance. Accordingly, we have more and more capital on the sidelines, which could potentially flow into this market. If we fall here in stablecoin dominance, the markets will rise. Here we also see a long-term resistance zone, which in my opinion, we should break downwards. However, this could of course take a few weeks. It becomes interesting if we fall below here, because then the altcoins will definitely take off sharply. Otherwise, as I said, I think overall, we have seen the worst with the altcoins. Of course, it could go a bit lower again. But then we're talking about 40 to 50 billion that might still flow out, but not much more. That means I am actually quite optimistic about the next few weeks, and I hope you are too. I consider the whole thing long term, not just for 1 or 2 weeks, but really for the coming months as well. And the next few months look quite good due to some macro data and the charts. And I hope you also enjoyed this kind of video. It was a bit different. Until we have more charts, feel free to leave your opinion here, whether you like this kind of content, whether I should include charts more often. Should I include real charts from the total 3 indicator or from altcoins and so on, and show you my target zones, whether you generally like this, whether I should do it more often or not. And you can also write in the comments what kind of videos I should make next. Maybe you have a few video ideas. I would definitely be happy about that. And see you next time, friends. Bye.